A woman's heart can break in complete silence. No screaming, no shattered glass, no dramatic scene. Just a look in her eyes that says she expected someone to stare and they didn't. The night I met Emily, she was sitting alone at a corner table in a crowded restaurant, trying desperately not to cry. Everyone around her pretended not to notice. I noticed, and that single moment changed both of our lives forever. The restaurant was packed for Valentine's Day. Every table held couples laughing over candlelight, exchanging gifts, taking photos, and celebrating love. I had almost cancelled my reservation. After a 14-hour shift repairing electrical systems across the city, all I wanted was a hot meal and a quiet evening. But my younger sister had insisted I stop hiding from life after my divorce. Just go out, she had said. You don't have to meet anyone. Just remind yourself the world still exists. So there I was, a tired 38-year-old electrician carrying more loneliness than I cared to admit. As the hostess led me toward my table, something caught my attention. A man stood up from a nearby table. His face was red with anger. The woman sitting across from him looked stunned. The restaurant wasn't loud enough to hide his final words. I can't do this anymore, Emily. Then he tossed a small box onto the table. An engagement ring. Several people gasped. The woman froze. The man turned and walked away without looking back, without hesitation, without regret, without even paying the bill. Emily remained motionless. Her eyes followed him until the restaurant door closed. Then she looked down at the ring. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The entire room watched. Some people whispered. Others stared. A few even pulled out their phones. I hated every second of it. The hostess continued leading me toward my table. But I stopped. Something inside me refused to keep walking. Maybe it was because I knew what public humiliation felt like. 3 years earlier, my wife had left me for someone else. Not in a restaurant, not in front of strangers. But the pain had been just as sharp. I remembered sitting alone afterward, wondering why nobody seemed to care. Maybe that's why my feet carried me toward Emily before my brain could stop me. The chair across from her was empty. I pulled it out. Then I sat down like I belonged there. Emily looked up, confused. Her eyes were filled with tears. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I think you're at the wrong table. Maybe, I replied. She blinked. I glanced toward the restaurant entrance where her fiancé Tilda copyright had disappeared. Looks like someone left before dessert. A tiny laugh escaped her lips. It surprised both of us. Then she quickly looked away. I'll be okay. Maybe, I said. Maybe, maybe not. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The waiter approached awkwardly. Sir, is everything okay here? I smiled. Yes. The waiter looked relieved. Then I picked up a menu. I heard the cheesecake is excellent. Emily stared at me. Why are you doing this? I shrugged. Because nobody should eat heartbreak alone. The tears she'd been holding back finally escaped. But this time they weren't tears of humiliation. They were tears of relief. Someone had seen her pain and chosen not to walk away. For the next hour we talked. Not about her ex-fiancé Tilda copyright. Not much. Anyway, we talked about life, family, work, dreams, disappointments. I learned she taught elementary school. She learned I spent most of my days fixing things that other people broke. Doesn't that get exhausting? She asked. All the time. So why keep doing it? I smiled. Because sometimes things deserve a second chance. Something in her expression changed. Like she understood I wasn't talking about electrical systems anymore. When the bill arrived, I paid it before she could argue. She frowned. You don't have to do that. I know. Then why? Because tonight was expensive enough for you already. For the first time, she laughed without forcing it. A real laugh. The kind that reaches a person's eyes. When we left the restaurant, snow was beginning to fall. The city looked softer somehow, less cruel. We stood outside for a moment. Thank you, she said, for dinner, for seeing me. The sincerity in her voice hit me harder than I expected. I nodded. Then we went our separate ways. I honestly believed that would be the end of it. Life had other plans. 3 weeks later, I received a call from an unknown number. Hello, Hi. I immediately recognized the voice. Emily. My heart skipped. Hey, would it be strange if I asked you to have coffee? I smiled so hard my face hurt. Probably. Should I not ask? Number. Why? Because I'm already saying yes. That coffee lasted 4 hours. Then came another coffee. Then dinner. Then walks through the park. Then phone calls that stretched late into the night. The strange thing was how easy everything felt. Neither of us was trying to impress the other. We'd already seen each other at our worst. There was no pretending, no masks, no games, just honesty. Months passed. One afternoon Emily invited me to visit her school. Her students were preparing a community fundraiser. The project aimed to provide meals for struggling families. I expected to help carry boxes. Instead, I witnessed something remarkable. Emily knew every child's story, every fear, every challenge, every dream. She treated each student like they mattered, because to her, they did. Watching her interact with those children changed something inside me. I realized kindness wasn't something she occasionally practiced. It was who she was. That evening I asked her a question. Why do you care so much? She looked genuinely confused. About what? Everyone. Emily smiled. Because somebody cared about me when I needed it. I laughed. You mean me? Number. She shook her head. Long before I met you. Then she touched my hand. But you reminded me those people still exist. A year after we met, life threw another surprise our way. A terrible storm tore through parts of our city. Hundreds of families lost power. Many lost homes. Schools closed. Businesses shut down. People were desperate. I spent nearly 3 weeks working around the clock restoring electrical systems. One evening, exhausted and soaked from rain, I stopped by Emily's school. The parking lot was full. Inside, volunteers packed food boxes, collected blankets, organized supplies. At the center of it all stood Emily, directing everything, helping everyone, refusing to rest. For days she coordinated relief efforts across the community. Teachers, parents, students, neighbors, everyone worked together. The impact was extraordinary. Thousands received help. Families found shelter. Children received meals. Hope returned. Watching her lead those efforts filled me with pride. But what happened next amazed me even more. A local news station featured the community project. Donations flooded in. Businesses offered support. Volunteers doubled. The movement grew far beyond what anyone expected. One night, after another long day helping storm victims, Emily sat on the gymnasium floor surrounded by supply boxes. She looked exhausted. I sat beside her. You know, I said, most people would have quit by now. She smiled weakly. Most people aren't helping alone. I looked around. Dozens of volunteers filled the room. Parents, teachers, teenagers, retirees, friends, strangers. People helping people. No, I said softly, they aren't. At that moment I understood something important. Kindness spreads. One act becomes 2, 2 become 10, 10 become hundreds. Humanity works that way. We never know which small decision will change someone's life. 2 years after that Valentine's Day, I returned to the same restaurant. The same table waited in the corner. The manager even remembered us. Emily thought we were there for dinner. Nothing more. Halfway through the meal, I reached into my pocket. Her eyes widened immediately. Wait. I smiled. Remember this table? She nodded. Tears already forming. Remember what happened here? Yes. I stood. The restaurant grew quiet. Not because people recognized us, but because people always notice moments that matter. I knelt beside her chair. This is where someone walked away. Emily covered her mouth. This is where your heart broke. Tears streamed down her cheeks. This is also where I learned that the strongest people aren't the ones who never fall apart. My voice shook. They're the ones who keep choosing kindness after the world gives them reasons not to. The room was completely silent. I opened the ring box. Emily, you taught me that healing is possible. You taught me that love doesn't arrive when life is perfect. It arrives when imperfect people decide to show up for each other. She was crying openly now. So I'm asking you something your ex never deserved to ask. I took a breath. Will you marry me, for one beautiful second? She couldn't speak. Then she nodded again and again. Yes. The restaurant erupted into applause. Strangers cheered. People wiped away tears. And as I slid the ring onto her finger, I thought about the night we first met, a broken engagement, a lonely table, a woman trying not to cry, and a tired electrician who simply chose to sit down. Neither of us knew it then, but sometimes the smallest act of kindness becomes the doorway to an entirely different future. Because love isn't always found in grand gestures. Sometimes it begins with a simple chair pulled up beside someone who feels forgotten. Sometimes it begins when one person decides to stay. And sometimes, when the world expects you to walk past another person's pain, the most powerful thing you can do is sit down like you belong there.